Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Mondays with Michelle video. We're going to look at the Transkribus website. I'll show you how I loaded a PDF document to their website and used the free rules files to automatically create a transcript of my document. Let's get started. Someone mentioned a website that I had looked at before, but really not done anything with. This website called Transkribus. It is a tool that uses artificial intelligence to scan documents that you load in and create an automatic transcription. And there are paid and free versions. The free version allows you to upload 100 pages of information every month, and it will scan. It supports JPEGs and PDF files, and it will scan and create an automatic transcription that you can go in and edit and correct as needed. So that's what I used for some of these wills that were 8 pages and 4 pages, and I'm going to show you how that all worked. So this is the website, the Transkribus website. This is the homepage for the website, www.transkribus.org. So there's kind of an overview of what it does. It's a cooperative project, as you can see at the bottom here, between a number of different universities. And it's interesting that they actually say right in their literature that genealogists are one of their target groups that is perfect for those of us doing family history research. So at the top here, there's a number of different menu options, and I'm just going to touch on a few of them. So the plans and pricing menu, if you click on that item, you come to this screen. These prices are just showing in euros, but the free offering gives you 100 pages per month, no charge, and it will do the text recognition. You can also upload samples that you have transcribed and use that as a model. If you had a lot of documents written by the same individual, you can actually create your own reference model to make it easier for the computer to give you an accurate transcription rather than using their rules to try and interpret the handwriting. So all I've been doing is using the free level. You set up a free account and you have 100 pages a month that you are allowed to upload. So the other item I wanted to show you under the resources menu, they have this help center. And it looks like this. You can see there are all kinds of topics depending on what it is you want to do. If you look at the getting started topic, you've got all of the different topics on the left, and you have basically step-by-step information. So that is a real help if you want to look at some of the individual tasks or items. It's a simple click your way through the help. So they also have a YouTube channel with videos, and this is what I found really helpful. I will say I didn't find their software intuitive enough that I could just figure out what to do without looking at the help or without looking at the videos. But the videos, especially this one that's first steps, was really helpful. So after watching that, I found I had a good idea of how to use it. Now, when you are in the software, if we go back to the Transkribus software, in order to get started, you click this Open App, and it brings you, now I'll just sign off so you can see the whole process and what it looks like. So when I click the Open App, normally it would then bring me here. There. It brings me to a sign-on page. So I would sign in, and it's going to bring up my Transkribus work page. And we're no longer on www.transkribus.org. We're now at app.transkribus.org. So this is where you're actually using the software. And what happens is, if we look at collections for a minute, they use the idea of collections like folders on your computer. So they give you a default collection with a sample document loaded so you can play around and see what it's like. What I did was created a new collection by just clicking the plus sign in the top right here where it says plus new collection. I created a new collection or folder, called it Renton Documents, since it's my Renton family that I'm working on. So if I want to look at the documents or load something in, I just click that folder. And right now, I've got everything showing in list format, but there's a little symbol here on the right. If I click that, it changes to little thumbnail images of each document. So I was mentioning that the rich Renton individual's father was William Renton. He died in 1855. So I loaded his will in, and I'm just going to change to the page images. So it was an 8-page will. And when I loaded in the file and went through the process to create the automatic transcript, which I'll show you in a minute, it created these images. And this is what the software does. You end up with, here's the page that I physically loaded in on the left. On the right, it has created a transcript. Now, I will say, with the rules that they have built in, it did not do a wonderful job of interpreting this person's handwriting. I found the handwriting very hard to read because he would do things like the letter D looks like an 8 because it's basically lying on its side. And it was very difficult to make out some of the letters. The vowels in particular, E's look like C's, A's and I's all look the same. M's and N's look like I's. So it takes a while to get used to the writing. But the nice thing is, when you get this transcript on the right that their software has created, if I find there's an error, all I do is click on the line, and you notice the minute I clicked on the line on the right, it highlighted that same line within the source document. And I can use the controls at the far left to zoom in. I can click and drag the document from side to side, which was really helpful. And then all I would do is go to the appropriate word and either delete, retype the correction, and then click save. I did discover it was a good idea to save as I go. There were several times when I think because I'd been working on it for a long time, the app seems to think you are not being active, and it actually logged me out and I lost the changes that I had made. So after that, I decided I was going to save every few changes just so that I didn't have that problem. You've also got a drop down at the top right here where you can give a status indicator. Is this a page that you are actively working on, or have you finished transcribing that page and you're pretty sure it's done? Then I'm going to move it to done status. And the reason for doing this is there is a way, if we now go back, I'll save. If I go back, I can actually filter to decide what pages to display based on status. So for instance, if I had some pages that were done and some that were in progress, I could say, just show me the ones that are in progress, since those are the ones that I'm actively working on. So let's look at how you would load a new document in. So I'm going to go to my folder that I want to add a new file to, and I'm going to go to the right-hand side here and click Upload Files. And it's basically asking you to locate your file. So I'm going to click this Browse, and I'm going to look for a file to load. So let's say I want to load up, which one is this? I'll load up this will. And I'll give it a name. I'll just call it Test Will Load. And I click Submit. And depending on the size of the file, it might take it a few minutes, but it will load up that document and have it ready for me to action. So as I said, it just depends on the size of the file as to how long it will take. With my luck, I chose a really big one. So once it has done that step, and it looks like it's almost finished it now because it says create document, but I'll just close this down, go back to my collections, and I'll show you one of the other ones. Well, this is one of the ones I did. Test will load. If I click on this document, yep, I picked a big one. So let's say this is the first page, and I want to automatically transcribe this first page. So I would click Start Automatic Transcription, and there's a few fields I'm going to fill in. I have to tell the software whether this is printed or handwritten. And in this case, this one was printed. If it was handwritten, I would do handwritten. Then I tell it the language. I say English. And it will give me a list of basically rules files. Now, some of these are only available if you have the paid subscription level. Any that are not available to you, the start recognition will be kind of grayed out, and it shows you what's the error rate of using each of those rule sets. Over to the right, there's an information box that tells you details on the different kinds of documents they used for those rules, so that you can decide, for instance, if there are several rules files, one of them might be more suitable if it's for the types of documents that you are looking at transcribing. So I would select a rules file and then click Start Recognition. And it's scanning through the document. And once it has completed the scan and applied the rules, it will show the automatic transcription in the right, just like those other pages I showed you. I can then compare the two and make any corrections. We'll just go back. And as I said, I've used it on 2 different wills. So I used it on the William Renton 8-page will, and I also used it on this John Thompson Renton will. And what I found, the 1855 will from William Renton, that one I had a lot of manual correcting to do because the handwriting was difficult for the computer to interpret based on its rules. The John Thompson Renton will, however, which was done in 1892, that one scanned in a lot better. The handwriting was much closer recognition-wise to the rule set that I selected. So in total, I was making probably fewer than 4 spelling corrections in a page for a 4-page will. So what I really liked about this, once you've got your transcript, you can also export it. And this is what I really liked. When I finished doing this transcript, and if I go back to my list of documents, let me put it in list format. And let's say I now want to export this. So I select the document, and if I go to these 3 little dots, there's an export option. And I have all kinds of options, and I'm going, okay, a doc file would be a really nice thing to be able to do. And I also want the Transkribus PDF. So if I now click at the bottom right, it says Start Export. If I click that, it's going to create a download link. I will get an email with the link to the download file, and it actually will give me that transcript as a Word document. So for me, the savings in all of this is I get a transcript that I can edit, that I can save in PDF or Word document format. And more importantly, I can then go through, if it's as a Word document, it makes it really easy for me to take an extract of the document. So instead of having to wade through an 8-page will with all the standard legalese, I can just copy and paste the relevant sections that list the family members' names and what they got, and create a separate Word document very easily that has the key information contained in it. So I'm finding this is saving me a lot of time. And with the ability to do 100 pages a month, even though some of these wills that I'm looking at, they have like 40 pages of inventory details. So it's not going to take long if 2 of those will have me near my 100-page limit for the month. But the next month, I'll have 100 new pages, so it's not a problem. So I am going to be doing more playing around with this tool because I'm curious to see what it will be like to actually train it to better read the handwriting for some of the tricky documents I'm doing. So that will be a whole other experience, this train model. And will probably be the subject of a separate video later on when I get to that point. But I did think this product was well worth looking at. And so far, it's been really useful. So I would encourage any of you that have documents that you would typically transcribe to consider using this tool, because by the way, it will work with any PDF files. I touched on the fact that once you have transcribed something, you can actually export the information. So I've been playing around with the export side. If I look at my Renton documents files here, and I can switch between images or list of files, I actually loaded in 4 PDF files that were wills. So the one that I played around with that I'm going to show you today is I exported this William Renton will. So what you're seeing here is each page of the will when I loaded the PDF file into the Transkribus software. So it was an 8-page PDF file. When it loads in, it splits the will into separate pages so I can look at each page individually. And this particular document I have already transcribed. So this was the automatic transcription created from the original document on the left, and I went in and corrected spelling and any errors that I found. So that's just a brief review of what happened when I actually worked on the document. But now that I've worked on the document, it would be really nice to be able to pull that transcript out and have it in a Word document so that I can then do whatever I want with it, edit it, delete stuff, whatever. So what I'm going to show you now, I'm going to go back to my list of documents. I'm just going to show you how you actually export the documents. So whether you're doing it from the images or whether you're doing it from the list of files, the process is the same. So on the left here, you've got a checkbox. If I look at the images instead of this list of files, it's the same thing. You've got these checkboxes here. So what you're going to do is select the document that you want to export. So I'm going to work with the William Renton will. And then I click on these 3 little dots and select export. And I have a number of different options. I can export all of the pages as separate images, 1 JPEG image for each page. I can export the entire file, the entire will, as a Word document. I can also export it as a PDF file, a Transkribus PDF. And initially, I wasn't sure why that would be useful because my thinking was, why would I want to save it out as a PDF? I already have a PDF of the will. What I really want is the transcript. So my assumption was that this option would give me the transcript in PDF format. That was an incorrect assumption, and we'll talk about what this file actually contains. I can also export it as non-formatted text, but this text file does preserve the line breaks. So in other words, it will be an exact representation of each line in the transcript. So those are the 4 options I'm going to talk about today. And it's as simple as click here. Down at the bottom right, there's a Start Export button. You select it. It prepares your export, gives you a message saying that you'll get an email when it's finished. And I'm just going to close down this little window. And if I now go to my emails, I'm going to get a message that's something like this. And it's going to say, here's the link for the job that you just requested. And you can click this link to download that file. And if I now go to my downloads folder, I'm going to get some items that look like this. So for example, here are some that I already downloaded. You'll see another folder, and now another folder. And this particular file contains all of the images, the JPEGs. If I was to look at the text file, and I've prepared these in advance. So we go in, and these are all, what you're downloading is actually a zip file. So you'd have to just extract the data. Here are text files for every page of the document. So let's take a look at what it looks like when you would then actually work with these files. So if we look, I'm going to go back to my document. So here is the original will, the PDF file that I downloaded from the National Archives website and then loaded into Transkribus to get the transcription of this handwritten will. So here is my original PDF file, and you'll notice the only text that I can select is this header at the top. If I try to click within the will, because it's handwritten, I can't select any text. So this is the original document I started with. Now, the Transkribus PDF file, which is this here. One of the options, if you remember when I showed you the export screen, it said I could export it as a Transkribus PDF. And that file, I copied it and pasted it here just so that you can see. It doesn't look any different from my original PDF, just to look at the way the file shows up. When I open the file, and I've got it open here, this is the file. Again, it doesn't really look any different. However, there are some differences. Now, I can select text inside this will. And what's even better, if I select this text and copy it, and then go to a Word document and paste, look at what's happened. It has taken that handwritten document, and what it has done, it's actually embedded the typed transcript into this PDF file. So it is allowing me to look like I'm copying the handwriting. What I'm actually copying is the associated transcript for those lines. So when I paste, what I've got is that transcript. So that's a useful feature. Now, the other types of documents that you can download, let's take a look at those. So we talked about the Transkribus PDF, which has the transcript embedded right in it. You can also download it as a Word document. And I've got that document right here. And if I open up that Word document, it is giving me the complete transcript. There are some things to note though. This Word document is not preserving the line breaks. So if we compare, I'll just shrink this down and show you what I mean. So if we look at the original document, and I'll just enlarge it, and I now put the Word document beside it, what you will see is the wording is not going to be preserved with the same line length. So this one starts, for instance, at Edinburgh, the 21st day of February in the year. The date, the 1000 whatever, starts on a new line. But in the Word document, you notice the date is continued. So if you decide to export your transcript as a Word document, be aware it is not preserving the line length exactly as it was in the original. It's running everything together based on the amount of space there is. So that could be good or bad, depending on what you want. If what you want is to preserve the line lengths, you want to look at the text file. So the text file exactly preserves the line length. And that's what I'm showing you here. Whoops, let me make it a teeny bit smaller. There. So here we've got at Edinburgh, the 21st day of February in the year. The 1800 starts on a new line, exactly the same as the original. And once you have it as a text file, There are other options. I'll just hide the line return markers. If you are using Word, you do have the ability to automatically show your line numbers. If you go to Layout, Line Numbers, you can say continuous, or you could say you want to restart each page so that each page starts numbering at 1. The other thing you can do if you are using software that doesn't have this automatic line numbering function, I'm just going to select none. A way around it would be to highlight all of your text and set it up as a numbered list. That way it will give you that line number option. So there's different ways if you want your transcript to show line numbers. And the last export I want to show you, if I just go to my Transkribus file here, is the images. So there was one option that said I wanted to download the document as images, and it creates a separate JPEG file for each page. So if I double click that, now I have an image which can be enlarged just like any other image. It can be cropped. You can do whatever you want with it. You could insert it as an image into a Word document. So you have some flexibility on what you want to do with that transcript, but it's important to note that the text option is the only one that will preserve those line breaks. So again, depending on what you want to do, you may want to consider which option will serve your needs best. But I did think that Intelligent Transkribus PDF was rather interesting, that I could actually select lines of the PDF document and copy and paste them, and I'm copying and pasting the actual transcript. I thought that was quite useful. I hope you enjoyed this video. There's no handout, but I provided links to the Transkribus website and their YouTube channel in the video description below. Thanks for watching.